just reflect for our affiliate, associate, and other partners who have joined us today. Who is Shaun Loudon, and what made you proud to find yourself in this journey? Then we can hit on the agenda for the day.
Okay, great. So my background is I grew up in Kimberley, the city of diamonds, and my family came there to dig for diamonds many years back. So my roots were founded in the diamond rush, and now I find myself amidst the digital gold rush with Carrot Bars. So that's an interesting connection for me. But I graduated from UCT with the BCom back in '96, and since then I've run my own businesses, many different businesses for the last 20 plus years. And through those businesses, I've had a lot of money pass through my hands, but it was only when I discovered Work Your Wealth. And let me tell you how that happened. My wife she saw an advert on Facebook about Bitcoin some 2 years back. It was about September 2017. And the four main business partners in Work Your Wealth, Conrad Labuskaghni, Tony de Gouveia, Rick Potgieter, and Kurt Kutsia, were all in Nelspruit, where I live. I live in White River. And they were advertising a one-day introductory seminar on Bitcoin 2 years ago. And my wife, Belinda, went and attended. And I didn't go for whatever reason. And she called me that afternoon at 4 o'clock to say that she just had the most incredible day. And she had booked for us to attend a 5-day seminar 3 weeks later in Cape Town. And it had cost 10,000 Rand. So I said that's fantastic, and a few other things. But retrospectively, I'm so glad that she went and attended that and booked for us to do the seminar, because it was on that 5-day seminar that I discovered Work Your Wealth. I discovered how to create an actual plan to achieve financial freedom through the creation of multiple streams of passive income. And it was at that 5-day seminar that I registered to become a coach. And here we are almost 2 years later. I've been 18 months, I've been full-time a coach in this business, and it's a real privilege for me to help people that are in a money system that isn't really built for anyone to succeed in. Actually, if you have a job, if you're selling your time for money, that system is designed to keep you repressed and in debt, and not to achieve the freedom that everybody, I believe, deserves. And it's my privilege to work with people on a daily basis to help them break out of that system and work a plan day by day, and one that works, that's working for me certainly, to achieve financial freedom. And we'll talk more about what that is during the webinar tonight. But to achieve that in a time span of 18 months to 5 years, anywhere between that, depending on how much effort you're prepared to put in, we can take people from 0 to financial freedom in 18 months to 5 years. So yeah, that's a bit of background on me, and that's my history. Yeah, the short version.
Yeah, now a number of people, and again, you've just alluded to that time frame and freedom. We thought, and some of us, me included, that financial freedom was like trying to chase the stars. It's something that you can see, but really not be able to touch. Now you're talking about 18 months, 24 months, and I've heard other guys talking about 12 months, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
Is it purely based on the fact that they've done something extraordinary? Is this really achievable, and what does it mean? And perhaps this leading to our first point on the agenda.
Sure. So what's important to understand is that Work Your Wealth is a wealth system. It's a very carefully designed system with many different components, and a lot of you on the call tonight, I'm sure, are familiar with Carrot Bars and possibly BitClub, and those are two important portions in our wealth generation system. But there are two very important principles about creating let's start with financial freedom. What actually is financial freedom? So financial freedom is a very clear, you only achieve financial freedom when you know with crystal clarity exactly what that means for you, and it's different for everybody. It's not the same thing for everybody. So when you earn 1 Rand more than you need to pay your desired lifestyle, from passive income sources, that is the day you achieve financial freedom. So the first thing you have to get clear in your mind is, what is that number? What is that monthly number that when you achieve that through passive income sources, you know that you can tick the box that you've achieved financial freedom. So for some people, that number might be 20,000 Rand a month. For others, it might be 200,000 Rand a month. For a few of us coaches in Work Your Wealth, our target is $1 million passive income a month. So for everyone, it's a different number. But the first step on the journey is to know exactly, with crystal clear clarity, what is that number, so that when I ask somebody, what is financial freedom for me, you can, without batting an eyelid, say to me, financial freedom is $20,000 a month passive income. That's financial freedom for me. So that's the first step. You know, if you want to drive your car using a GPS from Johannesburg to Cape Town, you have to put in the destination. You have to know that your destination is Cape Town. If you just drive out of Joburg and you don't know where you're going, who knows where you're going to end up? So if you don't have a very clear, and then I say the word again, crystal clarity of what financial freedom means for you, you've got no chance of ever getting there. And once we know that number, then what we do is we use two major wealth principles in our system, and those are leverage and compounding. And when we put those two together, a lot of people will only make use of leverage. And if you run your own business, for example, and you employ people, then you are leveraging off other people's time. You are achieving a bigger goal by using other people's time. Other people will use compounding. But in Work Your Wealth, everywhere we can, we put those two together. And that just creates an incredible exponential growth effect in everything that we do.
So that system, I suppose, it's something you can be able to share with us, or is it something very highly sought after or confidential, Shaun? Because again, I mean, most of the people who are on this call today, they are on the call purely because they want to learn. They might have some questions. Some of them might not even know the kind of question they like to ask. But is this system something that can be learned? Is this system something that can be achieved? Is this something that that can be imparted, shared, and or shareable, so to speak?
Absolutely, and I would love to share a high-level overview of what the system looks like and what it's made up of. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, if that's okay with you.
That's fine, please.
Okay, so just let me start out just saying I'm a coach with Work Your Wealth. I'm not a financial advisor. It's important to note that, you know, I'm sharing with you opportunities here, and whether you guys choose to take those up or not is entirely up to you. So I just need to make that clear. And so by means of introduction, I'm going to start by a brief little talk about inflation. And a lot of us have the perception that what we hear from government and what's advertised in the media, that mainline inflation in South Africa is between 3 and 6%. So those are the numbers that is targeted by the government. And we regularly hear in the media, every month they release what the inflation's been for the last month or the last quarter or the last year. And the inflation target in South Africa is between 3 and 6%. Now, that's okay, and I'm not saying for a minute that that's not accurate. But the government selects very carefully what's in that basket of goods that measure that inflation. And if you monitor what's in the basket, which you can easily do on the government website, you will see that the things in the basket change regularly. And as two important examples of products that are not in that basket, there is no fuel and there's no electricity cost in that inflation basket that makes up that 3 to 6%. So what I want you guys to look at for a minute is, what is your personal inflation? So in our own budget, in all the things that we spend in our own household in a month, it's a very specific list of things. And let's just take the grocery bill, for example. If you shop at Pick and Pay or Woolworths or Checkers or wherever you do your shopping, just take the slip this month and put it one side. Just store it away. And I want you to do this exercise for yourself. And in 3 months' time, when you shop again, pull out the slip from this month and take out the slip from, you know, when you do the shop in 3 months' time, and just have a look in 3 months how much the price of things has increased. As a simple example for myself, A whole chicken. It's a year ago that a whole chicken cost approximately 40 to 50 Rand. Today, if you go and buy a whole chicken, and that was a price at Woolworths, and if you go to Woolworths now and buy a whole chicken, the cost of that chicken is over 100 Rand for the whole chicken within a year. Now, that is clearly not an inflation of 3 to 6%. That's more like a growth of 200% just in the price of chicken. The price of meat has gone up astronomically in the last year. The same for all the other things you buy, whether it's sugar, whatever you buy in your personal household, the school fees you pay, the cell phone bill you pay, all of your expenses. Track for a month what they are in detail this month, and every 3 months review that and see how much that's increasing. And UNISA did a study on that last year, and they released data that showed that the inflation in South Africa in households is as a minimum 20% per year. So I don't know who in the employment environment earns more than a 20% increase every year. And what a lot of people do, they job hop, so they move from one job to another to get a higher pay increase. But unless you are growing your money at more than 20% a year, you are going backwards, because the reality of, inflation coupled with the depreciation of the rand means that, and let's not even get into retirement, but if we're dealing with a personal household inflation of 20%, the buying power of your money is halving every 5 years. So literally what costs you 10,000 Rand today is going to cost you 20,000 Rand 5 years from now. So that is a very difficult thing that we are all having to deal with. And we don't understand why when we go to, we receive our monthly income, and it just seems like we can get less and less for that monthly income. This is really, in reality, what's going on. Things are going up in price by a minimum of 20% per year. And Stembisa will tell you on our seminars, we do a very detailed exercise where we calculate everyone's individual personal inflation. And in most cases, we find that it's more like 30% per year for a lot of the delegates on the seminars. So this is the first big problem that we face with money as we work with it today. And I want to, in Carrot Bars, in the company profile, they have this page is taken from the Carrot Bars profile. And this is actually the cause of what led to inflation. So in 1971, we had President Nixon take the US dollar off the gold standard. So until 1971, every dollar that you had, you could go and exchange for gold if you wanted to. And that's why what Carrot Bars has done is so amazing in creating the Carrot Gold coin, that money's almost gone full circle, that we now have a cryptocurrency that we once again can exchange for gold as soon as the ATMs are rolled out, as most people have discovered. So essentially what's happened is governments, since the gold standard was abolished, are free to print more and more currency. So every time South Africa or the US government or any government needs more money, they go to the Reserve Bank, in the US, the case, the Federal Reserve, and they say to them, we need more dollars, please print them, and they sign an IOU. They simply sign that they owe the Federal Reserve those dollars. And that's resulted in today the US owing $23 trillion to the Federal Reserve. In South Africa, we owe 3 trillion Rand, and there just simply isn't enough printed money in circulation to ever repay that. And this is why we experience this problem of inflation. And in South Africa, inflation of, so this is why Carrot Bars is such an important part of the Work Your Wealth system. Gold is our insurance. It's our preserver of wealth. And this example shows it so beautifully that in 1920, 100 years ago, you could buy the very best Model T Ford with a kilogram of gold. And a kilogram of gold then costs $645. Today, you can still buy the very best Ford Everest with a kilogram of gold. So 100 years later, with exactly the same quantity of gold, you can buy the very best Ford on the market. And that's just the best illustrator of why gold is so important and why it's such a good store of wealth and beta of inflation. And I want to really get this point home. So if you look, the kilogram of gold has not changed. A kilogram of gold is a kilogram of gold. What's changed in this picture is that in 1920, that gold cost $645. Today, it costs actually $45,000 with the increase that we've seen in the gold price. But that's exactly the point I want to emphasize. The price of gold does not increase. What happens is the buying power of the dollar, inflation, eats away at the buying power of the dollar and the rand and the euro. So over 100 years, we now need $45,000 to buy that same kilogram of gold. And that's simply because the buying power of the dollar has been eroded. And that's why the money system is in such a precarious state. And the biggest speaker about this is Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he's going to be in Sandton. I think it's the 8th and 9th of September. And I really urge you guys, if you can, to come and attend that Success Resources and come and listen to what Robert Kiyosaki has to say about the problems with the US dollar. And he really is an expert on it and regularly says from the stage that savers are losers. If you're saving money in a bank account in rands, dollars, or euros, because of inflation, you are essentially losing money. And we really illustrate and drive that fact home on the seminars. So Work Your Wealth has a system called TUB. And before I spend too much time on inflation, a topic that I love, let me get into what Work Your Wealth is all about and give you the overview. So TUB stands for the ultimate business. And this diagram shows what TUB is all about. So in the middle, we have that green, call it a glass or beaker or jug, and that symbolizes your bank account. And on the top left there, we have your primary income. So that's your salary or the money that comes in every month through running your own business. And every month that comes in, and at the bottom is all the expenses and buying food and paying for your retirement, and all the money goes out the bottom. And in most people's cases, 90% of South Africans are spending more than they earn every month. And that's a very, very scary statistic, that 90%, let me say it again, 90% of South Africans are spending more than they earn in a month. So Work Your Wealth, as I've already alluded to, is a wealth generation system. Our aim is to assist people to achieve financial freedom. And the only way you do that, in the beginning I said that I've run many businesses for the last 20 years. It's only in the last 2 years that I learned to start a strategy to hold on to some of the money that passes through my hands every month in the businesses that I run. So in this TUB system, what we teach is to take a minimum of 10%, but ideally in an ideal budget, the one we strive for with our delegates and students in the system, is to get to a point where you're reinvesting at least 30% of your money that comes in every month. If you're not investing 30% of what comes in every month, you will never ever achieve financial freedom. That's a simple statistic. And everyone, I can hear you guys thinking, I can't even afford to save 1%, so how am I ever going to get to 30%? The way you do that is to just start, even if you start with 1%. If you, as your money comes in, your salary or whatever, if you just start with 1%, that's how you start changing your financial future. If you want to get different results, you have to start taking new actions and make new choices. If you keep doing the same things, you will keep getting the same results. So you can see the blue arrow, the reinvestment arrow. We take a portion of the money every month and start to invest it in income generating assets, which create passive income streams. So if you look at that very first tap, it's just a few drops falling into that glass there. And that's how passive income starts, as a drop. But it's about taking that first step to start that income stream with buying the Carrot Bars cryptocurrency or some Bitcoin mining, which you guys are familiar with. And as Tony always says on our seminars, if you can find a way to make $1 passively, you can increase that number over time to any number you want it to be. The secret of this whole system is to earn that first dollar purely passively, where you can literally say, I did absolutely nothing to earn that $1. And then you can make it $10. Then you can make it $100. Once you can do $100, you can do $1,000. If you can do $1,000, you can do $10,000, and so on. So as we build this up, you end up with more and more income streams. We have to create multiple income streams. If you only have one income stream and it's a salary, if that business closes or you get retrenched or whatever happens, if you lose that, you lose your income entirely. That is why in this image we see 6 different income streams pouring into the bucket at the top. And that's essentially what the Work Your Wealth system is about, is creating these passive income streams. So how do we do that? We work with income generating assets. And first of all, let's define what an income generating asset is. So an income generating asset is something that increases in value over time. The best example of this is a property. If you buy a house or a flat and you're going to rent it out to other people, that flat or house, if it's bought in a good area, will increase in value over time. And every month those people pay you the rent, that generates for you a passive income source. So an income generating asset increases in value over time and has a passive income element. And in the Work Your Wealth system, we have 10 of these income generating assets. And the first thing to highlight is those red lines in between each income generating asset, or project as we call them, is a firewall. So each project stands completely on its own. If something were to go wrong in one of these income generating assets, the other 9 would continue completely unaffected. So coming back to what you guys are familiar with, Carrot Bars is one project that you're familiar with and is one of our income generating assets. Another one, for example, is BitClub. And we all know over the last year that Bitcoin mining has not performed very well with the 84% drop in the Bitcoin price that we saw. And this just exactly highlights why it's so important to have multiple streams of income. So if we were only working with BitClub, our income stream from that would have totally dried up in the last year for all intents and purposes. If you were paying your bills out of BitClub, 6 months into last year, you ran into a serious problem because that income stream had dried up. And if you don't have another one like Carrot Bars or trading Forex, so let's get into what these income generating assets are. The first one, you guessed it, is gold. And gold is our Carrot Bars project. And we'll come back to that in a bit more detail later on the seminar. Because of the opportunity with Bitcoin mining, which is really waking up again with the increase we've seen in the Bitcoin price, Bitcoin mining is extremely attractive again. And yes, BitClub is one of the projects we work with, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about that. I will just share with you guys that the Work Your Wealth strategy right now is to draw out 100% of the Bitcoin that we're mining on BitClub. They've indicated some issues. There's a whole lot of new equipment that they bought that they've been unable to get online. It's something like 1,000 pentahash of mining equipment that they purchased, and they're having issues getting that to come online. And it seems like, for those of you who've been in BitClub for a while, you'll know they launched BC Trader a while back. So in Work Your Wealth, we are now focusing exclusively on BC Trader. We are not buying any Bitcoin mining at all in BitClub, and we've taken a decision to mine out all the Bitcoin we can with our mining capacity. So for now, in Work Your Wealth, all the members have been advised to set their compounding to 0 and to mine out the Bitcoin. But don't draw the Bitcoin out, but don't spend it. Keep it one side, because we're in for a massive Bitcoin run coming up, and we will divert that Bitcoin to other projects in due course. So mine out the Bitcoin, but just put it one side, store it away in a wallet, don't use it up. Our other Bitcoin mine works on a completely different business formula to BitClub. In fact, I'll highlight to you what the key difference is. BitClub, when you bought a $500 pool, a pool 1 in BitClub, for example, only 40% of that money went into buying equipment. In our other Bitcoin mine, which is based in Seattle, when you buy a $500 mining contract, 100% of that money goes into buying hardware. That's a key difference. That's 2.5 times the money. In fact, 100% of the money goes into buying hardware for the client's mining. And the way the mine makes money is on the reinvestment. So they force you to in BitClub, you can draw out 100%. In our other mine, you have to reinvest 35% as a minimum. And the company takes a very small cut of that to run the business on. So a completely different model. And they've really survived the low Bitcoin price through last year extremely well. and my Bitcoin mine there is back up right now, earning 8% a month in Bitcoin mining. So 8% a month is really not to be sneezed at. That's way better. You don't earn that in a year in savings accounts, in Capitec, or in the banks. So Bitcoin mining is certainly a very attractive thing to be doing, particularly in that mine that's based in Seattle. Number 4 on the screen there at the moment is an expert advisor, totally unrelated to cryptocurrency. An expert advisor is essentially a robot that trades Forex on your behalf. So we assist people to set up an account. We do a 1-day training on that, and then you have this expert advisor that trades 8 different, in fact it's 9 now, because it is trading Bitcoin as well, because Bitcoin is now traded on the futures exchanges. So it trades gold, oil, the S&P 500, and 5 different currency pairs, as well as Bitcoin. And the system essentially trades 100% on its own. It opens and closes trades. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. I just want you to be aware of it as one of our multiple income generating assets that we work with. So that's totally in the fiat world. The Forex trading market is a $3 trillion a day. There's $3 trillion a day that change hands in the Forex market. And it's essential that that market is part of anybody's wealth building strategy. You just need to have some system that goes into that market every day, and like a cup, if you were to go to the ocean every day to fill a bucket with water, something needs to go into that market every day and just bring you a cup of money every day. That's what our strategy is with that. Then, are you still hearing me clearly there, Steliso?
Yes, Shaun.
Okay, fantastic. Number 5 there, PIM Ignite, Passive Income Masters Ignite. We are on the brink of launching our own Work Your Wealth app, which is going to be an incredible online resource for students. It's going to enable you to attend, to complete some of the seminars for people that live in remote areas, to complete our 1-day, 3-day seminars online, and is going to be a great way. Conray is such an amazing speaker. I'm sure Stembiso will vouch for that, and Tony, and to have those guys available on your iPhone or tablet device to share with people that you want to invite into this business. Networking is obviously a big part of what we do. I'm sure most of the people on this call are building businesses, and the app that Conray has put together that's going to be released in the next month or so is really going to be a game changer in this industry. Moving on to the next, our other income generating assets, we have crypto trading. So we have a guy in Australia who gives us signals about when and when not to buy cryptocurrencies, when he feels the market's at a low, particularly around Bitcoin. But there are over 2,000 cryptocurrencies, and he regularly publishes what he calls a top 40 report, and he gives advice on what cryptocurrencies to buy, what he thinks their projected targets are. And I can tell you right now, we are on the brink, like you're on this webinar at the best possible time, because we are right on the brink. Bitcoin in the last week has started, I don't know what, earlier today I saw Bitcoin was over $11,000 again. And according to our analysts, we are just getting started. In the next 4 to 6 weeks, we are going to see a new high in the Bitcoin price. The previous high was in December 2017, where we had a high of $19,600. Our analyst is predicting that in the next 4 to 6 weeks, we're going to see a new Bitcoin high of around $22,000. And from there, it's not going to come down again. It's going more up. So there's that one. And there are many other cryptos that he's anticipating will grow a lot more than what Bitcoin will in the remaining months of this year through to March next year. From now to March, there's the opportunity to make insane money in cryptocurrencies. So they offer a monthly subscription. You pay a monthly subscription of $50 for that information. And then with the information, he teaches you a lot. It's such an incredible education from this guy. Every week on a Thursday night, South African time at 11 o'clock, there's an hour-and-a-half webinar with him where he goes through the markets, goes through the top cryptocurrencies, what he sees happening in the next week. He also releases information through the week as it becomes necessary. If there's some important info, he's got a blog that the info gets posted on. And what you will learn just by following that information for a month, if you're not confident to trade, or by the end of that month, you will be finding a way how to apply that information to create just another income stream, capital growth opportunity. So that's the crypto trading. Number 7 in our system, Wealth Masters, is all about wealth preservation. With Wealth Masters, we teach people how to create the best trust structures. If you want to create an offshore trust in a tax haven, then they're the right guys to speak to, and they really get us prepared. Our first 6 projects are really about creating wealth. So people can come into these 6 income generating assets from any level. If you have zero money, we help you get going. We find a way to help you get going. We use the networking and the potential to earn commission starting in the gold project to get you started. And we start and implement these projects in a particular order. And the system is really available to anybody. Obviously, if you don't have capital, you're not going to get started in all the projects at once. But Carrot Bars is where we start. All you need is that bronze package. And I'm going to show you an incredible opportunity available right now on the Amsterdam incentive, how you can really make a lot of money by just starting with a bronze package right now. So number 7, Wealth Masters, is once people are accumulating passive income sources and start to have enough money to get into the property game. Our end game in Work Your Wealth is to accumulate gold and property. And we work, so Wealth Masters, we get all the structures in place to buy properties in the right vehicles to make sure that everything is tax efficient. So once all that's in place, we then assist you to start buying residential property in different countries, in South Africa, in the UK, and Australia, commercial property and international property, as I mentioned, offshore. So that's a very quick overview of what the Work Your Wealth system is about. And we use each one of these as a very integral part in our overall wealth creation system. And this is simply the tools we use to create financial freedom. As Tembiso said, some people are doing it in 12 months, others 18, others 24. Some take as long as 5 years. But this system, we say repeatedly on the seminars, this is not a get-rich-quick scheme, but it is a get-rich-for-sure system. And that's what the system is all about.
Now, Shaun, maybe if I were to chip in with a question, obviously we'll allow people to put questions as part of this conversation. One of the burning questions in the context of this, and I think I've asked the same question to you when we met, but on daily basis, I'm faced with my debts, which I need to service. So my mind is not even tuned in to think of these 7, 8, 9, or 10 projects. I'm just focusing on ensuring that I have enough to cover my monthly. When do I start to switch? When do I need to start to be, in terms of mental preparedness, to be able to say, now let me migrate from one project to another, or let me start to accumulate the shares, if I were to use the term loosely, in these kind of projects? Because most of our members in this group in particular, some of them are just starting with Carrot Bars. Some of them are in Carrot Bars, but they are focusing on it. Maybe I'm speaking on their behalf without thinking of the second, the third, or the fourth project. How does one has to balance this if there are issues of day-to-day commitment that one has to focus on? Maybe it's a question you can answer later, but I just thought I should put it through.
Well, let's touch on that. You know, debt is such a reality, and as I say, 90% of South Africa is spending more than they earn. So the only way to fund that is to go into debt. So most people are in the trap of having one income source, and you know, there are only 2 ways to fix a problem where you are spending more than you earn, which unfortunately the majority of South Africa and in the world. You know, Work Your Wealth operates in 18 countries, and on all the seminars we run, we find exactly the same thing all over the world. People are spending more than they earn, the majority of people in any country. So there's only 2 ways to fix that. Either you have to cut your expenses down radically and change your lifestyle. You know, one of the things we believe we all start off, generally most people start off with none or very little money when we're born. And as we go through life, as we move out of school into university, if we're lucky enough to study, or if we go into the work environment, we have a choice at that point to start living a life of instant gratification, where if we want the BMW or we want the flat screen TV, finance, when we just start out and we've got our first salary, finance is readily available to us. So a lot of people fall into the trap of instant gratification. Instead of paying cash for the TV, they just go into the shop, into Incredible Connection or whatever it is, and they sign that they're going to pay a certain amount for the next 24 months. And all they see, they don't even see what the total amount is that they're going to pay over those 24 months. All they see is the monthly installment. And before we know it, that monthly paycheck is used up paying for a house, paying for a car, paying for rent, paying for whatever. And before we know it, we have absolutely no spare money. Whereas if early on we take a portion of that monthly income, and instead of buying the flat screen TV, we put that into an income generating asset that has a passive income source, immediately we start slowly boosting our monthly income. So a lot of us, and myself personally, 2 years ago, I was in exactly the same situation. We find ourselves over our heads in debt, and the only way to tackle that is reduce the expenses. So we have to go through that exercise and see where it's possible to cut expenses, and do that, and eat humble pie, and tighten the belt and say, okay, for the next 3 years, next 3 to 5 years, I'm committing to breaking this pattern. I'm going to break out of where I find myself right now, and I'm going to turn my life around. And as I said in the beginning, what is that target? What is that number that equals financial freedom for you? And I'm going to start making new choices to get there. The other way to fix the imbalance in the budget is to increase income. And that's where network marketing is so powerful. And the Carrot Bars compensation plan, in all of these systems that we work with, in all of them, there is a compensation plan. So in the Bitcoin mining, in Carrot Bars, in our expert advisor trading the Forex, with the Work Your Wealth app, you're going to be able to earn commissions from referring people into Work Your Wealth. The same in our crypto trading, the same in Wealth Masters, and later on in the property. All of these things are geared to increase your income streams by introducing other people into the wealth system. And let me touch here on that. It's so important that we focus on being servant leaders in this whole business. The only way we become successful, the only way we're going to achieve our own financial freedom, is if we help others do the same. So if we're introducing people to the system and coaching them and assisting them to become financially free, that will automatically happen for us. That's just the way the system is designed. It's really designed in the spirit of Ubuntu, and paying it forward and helping others. So within the system, if you actively start growing your Carrot Bars business, you can very quickly boost your monthly income. And that income needs to go into paying off your debt. The first place, as soon as your income increases through the affiliate or network marketing side of this business, that money needs to be used in very certain percentages to go and tackle that issue of debt and pay that off. So that's how we work with debt in the system.